What are stages in Snowflake? Hi, I am M. Asif Hussain from KnowHow Academy. In this video, we are going to see what are stages in Snowflake, how to create these stages in Snowflake, how many types of stages do we have in Snowflake. So, before directly telling you what exactly is stage and all, let me walk you through the real-time problem that you and I are facing every day in our day-to-day life. We all know that we have a lot of traffic problem here in India. So whenever we go out, it's been a very difficult time in order to go somewhere to the destination. And if you want to go for a shopping, or if you would like to go for any movie, or if you are traveling in a four-wheeler to any sort of place that we are about to go, it's been a very difficult time in order to park our vehicle. What is the reason? The reason is that might be many reasons, that the roads are short or the traffic is more, there is more population. But if we leave all these problems aside, but there is a biggest problem that there is no proper location where we have to park the vehicle. There are biggest malls, there are biggest movie theaters and all where they have underground parking. I'm not talking about them. But if you go to some street side shopping, then it's been a very difficult time in order to park our vehicle and do some sort of shopping when we go out. The point is that there is no proper location. If we have a location for parking our two-wheelers, if we have a location to park our four-wheelers, then obviously there will not be any sort of problem if you want to go out either with a two-wheeler or with a four-wheeler. In the same way, when I'm talking about the stages in Snowflake are nothing but these are the database objects. What are they? These database objects that contain the location from where we have to load the data from. So I'm repeating it again. What are stages? Stages are the database objects. And what does this database objects will have? These will have a location where we have to load the data from. Okay, so these database objects, they have certain properties such as location or such as some credentials and some other properties in it. So what are the kind of properties that we have, how to create stages, how many types of stages we have, all these things I will walk you through it here. So when I'm talking about the different types of stages that we have, there are two types of stages that we have in Snowflake. Number one, we have external stage, and number two, we have internal stage. So when I'm talking about the external stage, so these external stage are based upon the cloud providers. When I'm talking about the cloud providers, we have seen in our recent videos, and we all know that our cloud providers are AWS, our cloud providers are Microsoft Azure, our cloud providers are GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform. So these are our cloud providers. So based upon our cloud providers, where they have the capability, they have the capacity to store huge amount of data in cloud. So when I'm talking about these cloud providers, then I have Microsoft Azure, then we have Google Cloud Platform, and I have something called as AWS S3 bucket. Now what is this AWS S3 bucket? When I'm talking about Microsoft Azure, if we want to store the data in Microsoft Azure, we have to create a storage account. That storage account is called as blob storage. So in the same way, the name that we are using as a blob storage for this Microsoft Azure, the same way the storage account in AWS is S3 bucket. It's a storage account. It's a storage place. So based upon these three and based upon these cloud providers, this external stage will work. And the database schema that we have created, the database that we have created in schema, that is also very important. And when I'm talking about this particular external stage, do we have it readily available? No, we have to create this stage. How should we create this stage? Using create stage command. Now how to create this one, that I'm going to show it to you in this video. If you are not having all these external stages, when we are not using these external stages, then we have the second option, which is our internal stage. When I'm talking about this internal stage is nothing but the location that we have in our computers, on-premises storage. When I'm talking about the internal storage, this is nothing but the on-premises storage that we have it in internal, that is for individual use. So here this internal storage, when I'm talking about, this is on-premises storage which is maintained by Snowflake. Now depending upon the storage space that you have to use or you are about to use, you need to pay for it. That's a secondary option. So there are two stages, external stage and internal stage. External stage is based upon the cloud providers, and the internal stage, it is on premises storage on our local machine, which is maintained by Snowflake. So these are the two things that you should know, the types of stages that we have in our Snowflake. Now let us understand how to create these stages using our Snowflake. I'll walk you through this one. If you see here, I will walk you through step by step how to create these stages in our Snowflake. So I have taken a new worksheet, and in this worksheet I have written a command. I have written it priorly in order to make you explain it in a very easy way. So I am creating a database with a database name sample database. Before creating a stage, you need to have a database, a location where you have to store the data. So I am creating a database with the command create. Database is a keyword and the database name is sample database. Replacing is an optional point, or you can write it. It's up to you. So I am creating or replacing the database with a database name sample database. So let me execute this one first. I am executing it. So my sample database is successfully created. Now immediate next step that I am going to do is I am creating one external stage using the keyword schema. So you want to write a replace keyword or you don't want to write it, it is up to you. So I am creating or replacing a schema with the name external stage. So now I am executing this one. My schema external stage is successfully created. Okay. First step, I have created a database. Next step, I have created a schema. Now coming back, now I have to create this external stage. I have created a schema. Schema is nothing but a structure. It's a design. Okay. So I have created one schema. Now in that schema, I am creating a stage using a keyword create, command create. Now this particular thing is my database name and this is my schema name. As I have already seen that I am already in my sample database external stage, you can avoid it if you want. You can create a stage with the name AWS stage. I am creating this particular stage in AWS S3 bucket, which is my location. Now, what is the location? The URL of my S3 bucket is this one. And as I told you, it has certain properties where you need to give the location and credentials. I have given the location. Now I have to give the credentials. What are these credentials? You need to give the AWS key ID and the secret key. So what I am doing here, I am taking a dummy key ID. I am taking a dummy key ID. I have taken ABCD dummy key ID. You can take some MNOP dummy ID. It's up to you. And I am taking a secret key, and which is of my choice. Now what I am going to do, I am executing this one. My stage, AWS stage, it is successfully created. Now I would like to see my external stage. I would like to see my stage, AWS stage that I have created. So if you want to see some table or some thing in SQL Server, what is the query that we write? We write select a star from table name, right? In the same way here, what if I would like to see, we will use the keyword describe. So in a short form, I will write DESC. Okay. So I would like to see description of it. I am describing the stage. It is my sample DB is my database name. External stage is my schema name. And AWS stage is my stage name. So I will execute it. So if you see here, my particular stage is created where I have some file formats, okay, properties, and if you see here, these are all by default that I have got it, the CSV file. Okay, so what is the property type, what type it is, string, boolean. So everything I have got it in my stage. Now if you want to alter a stage or if you want to do some sort of changes, okay, with your stage that you have created, you can obviously do that. You need to use the command alter, the same thing how we use in SQL. So alter stage, what is my stage name? It is AWS stage. Set, I am altering, I am doing some change with my key ID. what was my AWS key ID? Earlier my AWS key ID was ABCD dummy ID that I have created with the secret key 1234 ABCD underscore key. So that was a secret key. Now when I have done the altering and I have changed my key ID from ABCD to XYZ dummy ID. So if we see here, when I execute and see it, so earlier I had ABCD as my dummy ID. Now I have XYZ dummy ID. So this is how your alter will also work. It's the same way how it works in our SQL server. So creating a stage, we have seen it, and we can create the stage by having a database. Now what we have done, we did not use our internal stage, we have used our external stage in order to load the data. So now in our next videos, we will see how we have to load the data, how we have to use this copy data options and all in our next coming videos. So thank you for choosing KnowHow Academy as your source for IT knowledge. We are always here to navigate you to the tech world. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you. Stay curious and keep learning.